Now, here is a practical technique. The very first thing you must do, the foundation of it all, is to know exactly what you want in this world. That's the key. When you have a clear, precise desire, you give your imagination a direction, a purpose. Once you know exactly what you want, you must make as lifelike a representation of it as possible. Ask yourself, what would I see? What would I touch? What would I do if it were already mine? Don't just think it, feel it. Put yourself there. Move in that state as though it were happening now. For example, suppose I wanted a home, yet I had no money. Still, I know what I want. Without taking lack or circumstance into consideration, I would create in my imagination the home I desire. I'd see it, I'd fill it with everything I love, all the details I want inside it. And then, at night as I go to bed, when I enter that beautiful drowsy state, the one right on the border of sleep, I would imagine I am already in that home. As I lie there, I would see myself stepping onto the floor of that very house. If I left my room, I would walk into the room next to it, the imagined rooms of my chosen house. I would touch the furniture, I would feel it solid and real beneath my hands. I would move from one room to another, living in that imagined space, until eventually, I would drift into sleep in that state. And I know, from experience, that in ways beyond my conscious planning, I would realize my home. I've seen this law work again and again. If I wanted a promotion in business, I would ask myself, what new responsibilities would I take on? What would people say to me? What would I do differently in this new role? And then, in my imagination, I would begin to see, touch, and act exactly as I would outwardly if the promotion were already mine. If I longed for the mate of my life, a wonderful man or woman, I would ask, what would I do that proves this relationship is real? Suppose I were a woman. I would imagine wearing a wedding ring. I'd take my imaginary hand, and I'd feel the ring on my finger. I would touch it, turn it, and keep on feeling it until it felt solidly real. I'd give it every bit of sensory vividness I could muster. And while wearing this ring in imagination, implying my marriage, I would drift into sleep. This very principle is beautifully told in the Song of Solomon. At night on my bed I sought him whom my soul loveth, I found him, and I would not let him go, until I had brought him into my mother's house, into the chamber of her that conceived me. If I put this ancient wisdom into plain modern English, it means this: while sitting quietly, I feel myself right into the situation of my fulfilled desire. And once I feel it real, I do not let that mood slip away. I keep it alive. I hold it. And in that mood, I fall asleep. That is what it means to bring it into my mother's chamber, into the creative state that gives birth to reality. Most people have no idea about the incredible power of imagination. But when a person awakens to it, truly awakens, they can never again play the old role of being just a passive observer of life. No. From that point on, they become the architect of life. The secret is simple: center your imagination in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and stay there. For in our capacity to live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled lies our ability to live the abundant life. But here's the challenge: most of us are afraid to imagine ourselves as noble, secure, important contributors to this world. Why? Because the moment we assume it, reason and our senses rise up to contradict it. We cling to the familiar, to what feels safe, even if it limits us. But I appeal to you, try it. Dare to assume the wish fulfilled. Test it. You'll discover the ancient wisdom hidden in those symbolic stories. They were never meant as history, they were instruction. Imagination places us inwardly into states of being. Those states exist now, right now, as possibilities. But they only become real when we move from thinking of them to thinking from them. When I first heard this, it was 1933, in New York City. An old friend introduced me to it. He opened the 14th chapter of John and read, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." He explained, the central character of the Gospels is the human imagination. The mansion is not some house in the sky, but simply a desire. And when I make a vivid representation of my desire and step into it with imagination, I prepare that place. And if I remain there, it will become my reality. At the time, I longed to return to my family in Barbados, but I had no money. My friend said, "Tonight, as you sleep in New York, assume you are in your father's house in Barbados. Feel it. Sleep in that state. And you will realize your trip." I did as he instructed. For 1 month, night after night, I slept as though I were already in Barbados. At the end of that month, an invitation arrived from my family, inviting me to spend the winter with them. That December, I sailed for Barbados. From that moment, I knew I had discovered the savior within myself. And my old teacher was right. It has never failed. Even after the manifestation arrives, you'll be tempted to say, "Well, it would have happened anyway." That's how naturally this law operates. But I tell you, it never fails, if you give your imagined state full sensory vividness. The essence is this: know what you want. When you know it, you're merely thinking of it. But that's not enough. You must begin to think from it. Suppose I'm sitting here, yet I desire to be somewhere else. How can I, while sitting here, place myself in imagination at that distant point and make it real? Easily, by letting imagination take me there. And how do I know I'm truly there? Because the world I perceive will change relative to that imagined position. What I see, hear, and describe all depend on where I stand. And if what I describe aligns with that new position, then in imagination, I am there. I may not be there physically, not yet, but in imagination I am. And imagination is the true self. And where imagination goes, the flesh must follow. So, when in that assumed state I fall asleep, it is done. I have never seen it fail. And that, my friends, is the simple technique of using imagination to realize your every objective.